Reviving the nameplate, the 5th generation is back. Regal Acura has given us the 2023 Acura Integra A-Spec in your majestic black, offering a CVT, which is what we have, or a manual, which we've already done a review on. You could check it out. Going against rivals like a Subaru WRX, BMW 230i, your Mercedes-Benz A250, so it's going after the Germans. It's going after modern vehicles in an everyday drive. Which one's going to pack the most performance and luxury and bang for your buck? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm going to go over all the specs and details starting now. The Acura Integra A-Spec is going to be wider than the Honda Civic Si. Clearance at 5.1 inches, so it takes care of the Germans there. Your LED daytime runnings, LED headlamps. You'll get a functioning side curtain, LED fog lamps, Pentagon grille. I like how it brushes into the headlamp assembly. You have a long hood, so it stresses luxury and performance blended in. The fenders flare out with 18-inch 5 double spoke alloy wheels. The curb weight is almost 80 pounds less than the manual. Adaptive dampers, McPherson strut front suspension, a multi-link rear suspension. Both the front and the rear will have your coil springs and your anti-roll bars. Acura Watch has improved with your lane keep assist, collision mitigation braking, road assist departure, pedestrian detection, traffic sign, and traffic jam assist. Weight distribution will not vary much. So the manual will be a 60-40. The CVT, 61-39. A length is going to be about 2 inches longer than the SI at 185.8 inches. Wheelbase is going to be about 2 inches longer than the WRX at 107.7 inches. The European design hatch with your shark fin antenna, your LED light bar that goes into your spoiler. The chicane LED tail lamps give a 3D floating element. Going inside to your cargo, it's non-power, 24 cubic feet. You have some storage here on the side. Underneath, we have a storage. You can split fold the rear bench. It's easy if you're tall, because you could do it right here in the back. But if you're short, you're not going to be able to do this at a 60-40 split. Increase in the cargo for this hatch. It does have a little bit of a lip to go into, but it's going to be a wider entrance. But with all these numbers and specs, it really means nothing unless you have a nice exhaust outlet note. Let's go inside, start it up so you can hear it now. Acura reviving the nameplate for the Integra, bringing us a 5th generation, and they're back in the performance with a 1.5 liter inline 4-cylinder VTEC, producing 200 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. That's paired to a CVT transmission, achieving 30 to 37 mpgs with a 0 to 60 around 7.4 seconds. With a manual, it's around 7.1 seconds. Quarter mile, about 15.7 seconds. With the manual, about 15.4 seconds. So it's not a huge difference in the dynamics in your numbers. A top speed will range around 130 to 135. It will be slower than the SI. Comparing it against the Germans, which one's going to look more aggressive? Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2023 Acura Integra A-Spec. As we go into the interior, go over the tech, and take this for our test run. Entering inside the Acura Integra A-Spec, you're going to receive 37.6 inches of headroom, 42.3 inches of legroom, 8-way power adjustments, heated seats for the front, manual adjustments for the passenger. The door panel goes into the dash. You get the sporty style that mimics the Civic. You have your climate control and a 7-inch infotainment, touchscreen audio sound system, AM, FM, and you can stream Bluetooth audio. Switch to reverse, you have trajectory, and it is pretty easy to reverse with it. You have multiple angles so you can see everything you need for your reversing. It's more cleaned up instead of grown up, so the sporty look comes into working underneath with a USB, a 12 volt. You have a large storage area here. Your driver mode select, so you can change, and that will change the way the look is for your gauge cluster. So comfort is blue, normal is gray, red is sport. We do not have any heads-up display. You get the gloss black. It is driver focus setup. Cup holders, a 16.9 ounce fits. I'd say about a 20 ounce. It's going to be soft where you rest your elbows, open up inside. It's deep, just not so wide, and it's also push back. So depending on how tall you are, you may not even be able to use it. A-Spec leather wrap steering wheel, multi-function. You get the gloss black everywhere. We have the paddle shifters. The gauge cluster can go through an array of information for the driver, and you can also do a customize for your layout. The door panel gets a brush off of the dash. It's going to be everyday materials. It's going to be more sporty, but kind of soft, one touch up and down for your front windows. Pretty decent sized storage pocket for this hatch. For the back seats, I'm at 36.4 inches of headroom, 37.4 inches of legroom. You have more headroom than the SI here. I do like how you sit in the sense of it's comfortable, but it kind of pushes you in. You don't have any armrests. The door panel gets your everyday materials. It's the same pattern as the front. Soft where you rest your elbows and a small storage pocket. You sit down, so that's a good thing. So headroom is not an issue, nor is legroom. Floor is not completely flat. There's nothing in the center. I'm sharing feet, butt, and shoulder space. And because this is a hatchback, you're going to lose a little bit of headroom, but you can still fit 3 adults. My dimensions at 6'3" without too many issues. Taking the 2023 Acura Integra A-Spec out for our test run. 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged 200 horsepower. So it does have a little bit of kick. It's not the heaviest vehicle in class. CVT transmission with 192 pound-feet of torque. You can option a manual, which I've done a review on. You can toggle through and watch that one so you can see the difference. The main reason why I wanted to drive the CVT is to see how the dynamics is, if there's a huge difference in the ride. What I have already noticed is when you start off, there is. When you're pushing the gas, it does feel a little bit different. It's not as performance driven right off the bat. That's in normal. When you click it into sport, kicks up that RPM, so the gear ratio changes, making it a little bit more lively. Very sport derived though in the interior, the way the hood is set up and the way you are sitting back. I do like that. Let's see how well she goes. Switch it into normal, drops the RPMs. 18-inch wheels, nothing to be too crazy about. You do sit a little bit lower, and the redesigned Honda Civic took care of 20% of the road noise. The turn signals, not a big fan on those. Normal mode, obviously it's not going to be as fun as a manual transmission, but it gets the job done. You're not too much slower than the manual either. 0.3 seconds on the quarter in the 0 to 60 and maybe 5 miles per hour quicker at a top speed. Brakes on the vehicle, they're not Brembo specs. They don't go too crazy, but they stop pretty good. You're going to feel more athletic in the interior in this than a regular Honda Civic hatch. When you get into the SI, it's going to be a lot more firm. Now, there is 3 things I like and 3 things that I dislike. Is anything more than that, I'd be buying this Integra. The 3 things that I like about the vehicle is that they did a fabulous job in the design work in the sense of giving a European style for the hatch. They did a great job with the aerodynamic lines and the proportions because it feels very athletic. You actually sit pretty low inside. The hood feels like it's raised up just a touch. The second thing that I like about the vehicle is if you're driving this on an everyday, you can still have some fun, which I mean, you change it into sport, ticks up that ratio, and you just go. The weight distribution, it doesn't change very much, so that's a good thing too. So if you get the manual or CVT, you're only one different. You're at a 60 to a 61. So it's not something that's a dramatic change in the actual geometry. The last thing that I like about the vehicle, because it's a hatch, you have optimal storage space. Three things that I dislike has to start off with when you are not in sport mode and you're just in normal, or even you put it into comfort. It feels very heavy on the pedal, and this is not a heavy vehicle. The second thing that I dislike, the armrest. If you're shorter, you're gonna move the seat up quite a bit, and then it just becomes elbow rest. Barely even that, depending on how tall you are. Also, it's driver focus, which it's not really a driver focus thing. They just kind of added it. Turn radius at a stop point is going to get about 2 lanes. Steering wheel has some weight to it, so that is a nice thing, whether you're in comfort or you throw it into sport. The only major thing I will say is when you put it into sport, it shoots up the tachometer, so it gives you a little bit more throttle response, so it's a little bit more engaged. But the fun to drive, the heel to toe in the 6-speed manual is actually really easy. It's hard to kill the vehicle. I actually tried to multiple times. I couldn't. So even if you're new at driving a manual, I would say drive that one first just to see if you like it, because this is more of an everyday car, but that one's going to be more performance and fun driven with an everyday spirit. The last thing that I dislike is you don't receive leather for your interior specs. You do for the Honda Civic though. Just, you know, some nitpicking things, but when you get into Acura, this is the luxury line with the performance mixed in. Going against the rivals, well, I will say that the Germans have obviously a little bit more performance numbers out of it. The price will escalate, however, because this is around $35,000, $36,000. So when you're getting these numbers, I mean, it's like a fully loaded Honda Civic, and you're getting an extra year of warranty, and you're getting all the luxury encased around you. Now, you're not getting the leather seats, but you do get the sports styling for the A-Spec on the exterior as well. If you're comparing this against the Honda Civic Si, that one's going to be more sport derived, so for an everyday, it's going to be a little bit more performance driven, but not necessarily over the top either. The interior is going to be a little bit more grown up. Here it's going to be more luxury. So I do like that you have a difference whenever you're comparing the two, and we have an alternative to a Honda Civic Si, because before this, ILX had a dual clutch transmission, which was something that was more engaging. It had more performance numbers. Give her a little go. I do like how you sit lower in this vehicle, because it really does mimic the Germans quite a bit in the sense of the performance that you're getting out of the feel in it. I'd like to thank Regal Acura for giving us this 2023 Acura Integra A-Spec for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the next video so you can see comparisons, and leave a comment and a like, because I always write back. Look at the merchandise, the website, the details, and everything we do here at Hawkeye Rides.